Regis Pollard got the start on the hill for the Quackers as he let go the first pitch that would also turn into the first hit of the WWL for John Capitelli, and things quickly went downhill from there as it became Regis bobbled the ball day at Washburn Park, and he certainly was hearing it from his teammates early on. He would then go on to walk Eddie Whiteside, but then gets the crowd to quiet down a bit with a good 2-2 pitch to John Boos for the second out, and a slow ground out from John Capitelli would end the inning, but not before letting up 3 runs as the Wonders took the early lead. Kyle Sickles would take the hill for the Wonders, and Pollard would lead things off with a double to left center. Shelton followed up with a grounder as Pollard would round third and test out Cap's arm as he slides safely into home for the Quackers' first run. That would be all for the first as Sickles, with 2 outs, gets Swan to take a seat on a hanging. To the second we would go as a tough roller turns into a run for the Wonders, but Pollard would eventually end the inning with a slider to John Boos saying, "No soup for you," as the Wonders still had the lead 3-1 through 2. Then we would reach the third, where things got out of hand for the Wonders. Keenan would get the ball rolling with a single as Pollard finds the slip and slide at second base. With 2 on and no out, Schelt takes a pitch high and deep, and it's gone for a 3-run shot as they take the 4-3 lead. Then the ball kept rolling as Darren McGuire gets a single. Then Josh Swan finds the fence in left for a double. Pollard followed up with another double, and after Keenan gets another single, Shout goes, "Happy go Jackie," as he puts another ball out to the road to play. Then Darren McGuire, trying to match Shelton's power on the left side, quickly finds a seat on the bench after a cutter on the outside corner. Swan would keep the inning alive with a liner to center just off the hand of Eddie Whiteside. Then it's Pollard again with his third double, and finally Keenan stops the bleeding as his single puts the Quackers over the 9-run limit. And that would be all from Sickles as he leaves with a 5-run deficit, and clearly frustrated after his performance. Going to the fourth, Boos cuts the lead a little closer as he ropes a 2-run shot just around the post in left field, but Pollard would eventually settle down as he gets big strong John Cap to go 1-2-3. John Cap comes in to relieve Sickles in the fourth and immediately chooses to walk Shelton to avoid another home run. He would then schedule a date with Boos as he grabbed the first out of the inning. Later in the inning, with the bases loaded, Cap tries to take off Shelt's head with a high curveball and walks in his only run of the inning and what would be for the game. Things would get a little dicey in the fifth as a single by Cap would turn into a run, and then a not-so-top play by Pollard as he tries to pick off Boos at second. Pollard would take the lead into the sixth with a strikeout of Whiteside here to end the inning. In the bottom half of the inning, Cap would get Pollard off balance for a strikeout early on, but then loses his touch as Keenan says, "I'm just looking for his third walk of the contest." Cap then would choose to face Schelt as he shuts down the Schelt Express, taking him 1-2-3. As the last inning approached, Pollard would then turn things over to Jordan Shelton to get the close. Like a kid running away from an ugly girl, Schelt glided to the mound to take on the challenge laid forth ahead of him. He would first get Boos to fly out, then get Cap looking at his change, and then you can just use your imagination as Eddie Whiteside flies out to end the game as the Wacka Quackers win 11-8. It was Sean Anker on the hill for the workhorses, and he had his work cut out as the Bombers started the game hitting everything. It was Hines, then Petey, then Hines again, and Kotcher gets in on the action along with Petey for his second hit, and 3 runs would come across in the inning before Anker finally finished the inning off by striking out Sisson. Then it was Kotcher who got the start for the Bombers and quickly put away JT and then Ben Little before hitting a wall. He walked Nick Knopf, which left the door open for Sean Anker. Big Sky going sky high for a 2-run shot to make it 3-2, and even the fans driving were loving it. The workhorses would eventually tie things up at 3, and then we were treated to a comical discussion where Sean Anker and Nick Knopf looked more like the Three Stooges as the controversy would lead to the replacement of Anker at pitcher. Knopf let up a single here to Sisson, then after a Matt Hines grounder, Sisson barely makes it into second safely. As we take another look and slow things down, it looks like Sisson gets his right foot in there before the ball. Good call made by the WWL. Then, after a short blooper to third, Knopf is able to put the ball on Petey to make the first out. But then it's Sisson staying hot as he ropes a double high off the fence as the Bombers score 3 more in the second to take the 6-3 lead. To the bottom half we go, and it's Knopf putting the ball off the fence in center for a double. And after Kotcher gets a strikeout of JT, watch out as JT sends a message, nailing Kotcher with the bat. Then it's Ben Little, who appears to fool everyone except the base runner with his slow blooper that would end up as a hit and eventually an RBI as Nick Nothnagel comes around to score. Kotcher was able to put an end to the inning as you see Anchor striking out here for the Workhorses, but they were able to tie things up at 6 apiece. Then to the third, the Bombers were off to a slow start as Kotcher strikes out with the first at bat and no runs came across. In the bottom half, JT gets a nice single here to lead off, but then Kotcher silences the order with a Ben Little flyout. Then he gets Knopf biting on a curve and gets Anchor to watch on the corner as he starts ringing him up like a phone booth. To the fourth we would go as Sisson starts things out with a double, and then Knopf gets Kotcher to strike out again for the first out. With a 6-6 tie and a man on first, Petey takes one deep to left center for a 2-run dinger, grabbing the 8-6 lead. And it wouldn't stop there. Sisson takes him deep again, and then it's Matt Hines getting all 57 varieties of that one as the Bombers go back to back to back on Nick Nothnagel. Then it's Sean and Nick going at it again as the team chemistry started to fall apart as the Bombers took the huge lead, 12-6. In the bottom of the fourth, with 2 men on, Nick's single would bring home Mike Anderson, who showed up fashionably late to the game. Then it's Nick Nothnagel getting caught, trying to take home for the first out. After a walk, Kotcher would give up a liner to center to JT, and with the bases chucked, Kotcher jams Ben Little, but it's just late trying to make the play at first. Kotcher gets Nick to look at a high strike to end the inning. Now on to the fifth. After a walk to Matt Hines, Nick redeems himself with a nice double play here to end the inning for the Workhorses. Then in the bottom half, Kotcher finds himself in a little bit of trouble as he walks Mike and JT, which would result in bringing Kevin Hammond in as a substitute. It wouldn't help much as Kotcher finds himself walking another, but then it gets some great defensive plays from Petey pegging out Ben Little, and then Kevin Hammond making a nice grab here on a line drive. Then he finally gets a slow roller to end the inning, but not before letting 3 runs cross to make it 12-9. Petey gets things rolling in the 6th with a line shot, and then would come around to score after the Workhorses can't connect on a play at second. After Kotcher puts a grounder up the middle, which would lead to Nick Nothnagel being taken out by Kevin Hammond. Hammond would eventually be pegged out, but bus driver, move that bus as Kevin Hammond steamrolls over Nick in the 5th inning. Then as Kevin Hammond draws a walk in his next at bat, the bases are loaded for Sean Anchor, and he makes a crucial play at home by getting Kotcher out. The bang-bang play results in an out and a face plant for Sean Anchor. It's 13-13 going into the bottom half of the 6th, and Nick Knopf then grounds to first, and as he runs up the line, he again collides with Kevin Hammond and wipes out and pays the price. He would eventually limp back to the bag and watch Anchor put the Wiffleball on a high slider, and then goes back to the bench where he can think about it a little bit more. Then it's Mike on a 2-1 pitch, flirting with the homer as he puts it high off the fence for a double. And with a man on second and third, it's JT's Williams, whose blooper to the pitcher is enough as Knopf gets high to avoid the peg. And then we get the privilege of seeing Sean Anchor act like a little kid again, celebrating with his team after the walk-off single. So with the help of JT Williams, the Workhorses are able to come back against the Bombers and win 14-13.